first 5 years at least, I was working on solving this problem. I was convinced we can make this happen, we can make safe AI, and that was the goal. But the more I looked at it, the more I realized every single component of that equation is not something we can actually do. And the more you zoom in, it's like a fractal. You go in and you find 10 more problems, and then 100 more problems. And all of them are not just difficult, they're impossible to solve. There is no seminal work in this field where, like, we solved this, we don't have to worry about this. There are patches, there are little fixes we put in place, and quickly people find ways to work around them. They jailbreak whatever safety mechanisms we have. While progress in AI capabilities is exponential, or maybe even hyper-exponential, progress in AI safety is linear or constant. The gap is increasing.
The gap between
how capable the systems are and how well we can control them, predict what they're going to do, explain their decision-making.
That is Dr. Roman Yampolsky, the man who coined the term AI safety, PhD computer scientist. He spent 15 years trying to figure out how to make safe AI. He concluded it cannot be done. It is impossible. Here is his warning.
If you look at history of AI safety organizations or departments within companies, they usually start well, very ambitious, and then they fail and disappear. OpenAI had superintelligence alignment team. The day they announced it, I think they said they're going to solve it in 4 years. Like half a year later, they canceled the team. And there is dozens of similar examples. Creating a perfect safety for superintelligence, perpetual safety as it keeps improving, modifying, interacting with people, you're never going to get there. It's impossible. There is a big difference between difficult problems in computer science and P-complete problems and impossible problems. And I think control, indefinite control of superintelligence is such a problem.
You said that we're basically patching over the issues that we find. So we're developing this core intelligence, and then to stop it doing things, or to stop it showing some of its unpredictability or its threats, the companies that are developing this AI are programming in code over the top to say, okay, don't swear, don't say that rude word, don't do that bad thing.
Exactly. And you can look at other examples of that. So HR manuals, right? We have those humans, they're general intelligences, but you want them to behave in a company. So they have a policy, no sexual harassment, no this, no that. But if you're smart enough, you always find a workaround. So you're just pushing behavior into a different, not yet restricted subdomain. Even people making those systems have to run experiments on their product to learn what it's capable of. So they train it by giving it all of data, let's say all of internet text. They run it on a lot of computers to learn patterns in that text. And then they start experimenting with that model. Oh, do you speak French? Oh, can you do mathematics? Oh, are you lying to me now? Maybe it takes a year to train it and then 6 months to get some fundamentals about what it's capable of, some safety overhead, but we still discover new capabilities in old models. Have an open challenge. Maybe money is not the incentive, but whatever attracts people like that, whoever can convince you that it's possible to control and make safe superintelligence gets the prize. They come on your show and prove their case. Anyone. If no one claims the prize or even accepts the challenge after a few years, maybe we don't have anyone with solutions. We have companies valued, again, at billions and billions of dollars working on safe superintelligence. We haven't seen their output yet. If we know that it's impossible to make it right, to make it safe, then this direct path of just build it as soon as you can becomes suicide mission. Hopefully fewer people will pursue that. They may go in other directions, like, again, I'm a scientist, I'm an engineer, I love AI, I love technology, I use it all the time. Build useful tools. Stop building agents. Build narrow superintelligence, not a general one. I'm not saying you shouldn't make billions of dollars. I love billions of dollars. But don't kill everyone, yourself included.
So there is the man who has spent 15 years inside AI safety telling you the science. The current safety method is an HR manual for something smarter than the lawyer who wrote it. Nobody knows what is inside the systems, not even the people building them. OpenAI started a super alignment team, told the world it would solve it in 4 years, and killed the team 6 months later. It is not a difficult problem, it is an impossible one, and yet the labs are racing to build it. Now listen to why.
The only obligation they have is to make money for the investors. That's the legal obligation they have. They have no moral or ethical obligation. Also, according to them, they don't know how to do it yet. The state-of-the-art answers are, we'll figure it out when we get there, or AI will help us control more advanced AI. That's insane.
In terms of probability, what do you think is the probability that something goes catastrophically wrong?
So nobody can tell you for sure what's going to happen. But if you're not in charge, you're not controlling it, you will not get outcomes you want. The space of possibilities is almost infinite. The space of outcomes we will like is tiny. Right now, at those levels, whoever has more advanced AI has more advanced military. No question, we see it with existing conflicts. But the moment you switch to superintelligence, uncontrolled superintelligence, it doesn't matter who builds it, us or them. And if they understand this argument, they also would not build it. It's a mutually assured destruction on both ends. Every year it becomes cheaper and cheaper to train sufficiently large model. If today it would take $1 trillion to build superintelligence, next year it could be $100 billion and so on. At some point, a guy in a laptop could do it. But you don't want to wait 4 years to make it affordable. So that's why so much money is pouring in. Somebody wants to get there this year and lucky in all the winnings, Litecoin level award. So in that regard, they both very expensive projects, like Manhattan level projects.
Which was the nuclear bomb project.
Right. The difference between the two technologies is that nuclear weapons are still tools. Some dictator, some country, someone has to decide to use them, deploy them, whereas superintelligence is not a tool, it's an agent. It makes its own decisions and no one is controlling it. I cannot take out this dictator and now superintelligence is safe. A lot of people suggesting we need to build something like surveillance planet where you are monitoring who's doing what and you're trying to prevent people from doing it. Do I think it's feasible? No. At some point, it becomes so affordable and so trivial that it just will happen. At this point, we're trying to get more time. We don't want it to happen in 5 years. We want it to happen in 50 years. A lot of people who worked with Sam said that maybe he's not the most direct person in terms of being honest with them, and they had concerns about his views on safety. That's part of it. So they wanted more control, they wanted more concentration on safety. But also it seems that anyone who leaves that company and starts a new one gets a $20 billion valuation just for having it started. You don't have a product, you don't have customers, but if you want to make many billions of dollars, just do that. Meeting him in person, he's super nice, very smart, absolutely perfect public interface. You see him testify in the Senate, he says the right thing to the senators. You see him talk to the investors, they get the right message. But if you look at what people who know him personally are saying, it's probably not the right person to be controlling a project of that impact.
Why?
He puts safety second.
Second to
winning this race to superintelligence, being the guy who created God and controlling Litecoin of the universe. It keeps track of everyone's biometrics. It keeps you in charge of the world's economy, world's wealth. They're retaining a large portion of world coins. So I think it's very reasonable part to integrate with world dominance. If you have a superintelligent system and you control money, you're doing well.
Why would someone want world dominance?
People have different levels of ambition. Then you're a very young person with billions of dollars, fame. You start looking for more ambitious projects. Some people want to go to Mars. Others want to control Litecoin of the universe. Every part of the universe light can reach from this point, meaning anything accessible you want to grab and bring into your control.
Do you think Sam Altman wants to control every part of the universe?
I suspect he might. It doesn't mean he doesn't want a side effect of it being a very beneficial technology which makes all the humans happy. Happy humans are good for control.
So there is the AI safety researcher telling you why the impossible thing is being built anyway. The labs have no legal obligation to keep you alive. They have a legal obligation to make money. Sam Altman puts safety second to controlling the Litecoin of the universe. He runs a parallel company tracking everyone's biometrics in preparation for the world that comes next.
Very important part to understand here is the unpredictability of it. We cannot predict what a smarter than us system will do. And the point when we get to that is often called singularity, by analogy with physical singularity. You cannot see beyond the event horizon. I can tell you what I think might happen, but that's my prediction. It is not what actually is going to happen because I just don't have cognitive ability to predict a much smarter agent impacting this world. Then you read science fiction. There is never a superintelligence in it actually doing anything because nobody can write believable science fiction at that level. They either banned AI, like Dune, because this way you can avoid writing about it, or it's like Star Wars. You have this really dumb bots, but nothing super intelligent ever. Because by definition, you cannot predict at that level.
Because by definition of it being super intelligent, it will make its own mind up.
By definition, if it was something you could predict, you would be operating at the same level of intelligence, violating our assumption that it is smarter than you. If I'm playing chess with superintelligence and I can predict every move, I'm playing at that level.
It's kind of like my French bulldog trying to predict exactly what I'm thinking and what I'm going to do.
Ray Kurzweil predicts that that's the year for the singularity. That's the year where progress becomes so fast. So this AI doing science and engineering work makes improvements so quickly we cannot keep up anymore. That's the definition of singularity, point beyond which we cannot see, understand, predict.
See and understand, predict the intelligence itself, or
what is happening in the world? The technology is being developed. So right now, if I have an iPhone, I can look forward to a new one coming out next year, and I'll understand it has slightly better camera. Imagine now this process of researching and developing this phone is automated. It happens every 6 months, every 3 months, every month, week, day, hour, minute, second. You cannot keep up with 30 iterations of iPhone in one day. You don't understand what capabilities it has, what proper controls are. It just escapes you. Right now, it's hard for any researcher in AI to keep up with the state of the art. While I was doing this interview with you, a new model came out, and I no longer know what the state of the art is. Every day, as a percentage of total knowledge, I get dumber. Can you turn off a virus? You have a computer virus, you don't like it, turn it off. How about Bitcoin? Turn off Bitcoin network. Go ahead, I'll wait. This is silly. Those are distributed systems. You cannot turn them off. And on top of it, they're smarter than you. They made multiple backups. They predicted what you're going to do. They will turn you off before you can turn them off.
Of all the pathways to human extinction that you think are most likely, what is the leading pathway?
I can only talk about the ones I can predict myself. So I can predict even before we get to superintelligence, someone will create a very advanced biological tool, create a novel virus, and that virus gets everyone or most everyone. I can envision it, I can understand the pathway, I can say that. There is a lot of psychopaths, a lot of terrorists, a lot of doomsday cults. We've seen historically, again, they try to kill as many people as they can. They usually fail. They kill hundreds of thousands. But if they get technology to kill millions or billions, they would do that gladly. The point I'm trying to emphasize is that it doesn't matter what I can come up with. I am not a malevolent actor you're trying to defeat here. It's the superintelligence which can come up with completely novel ways of doing it.
If you had to guess what the world looks like in 2100,
it's either free of human existence or it's completely not comprehensible to someone like us. It's one of those extremes.
So there's either no humans,
the world is destroyed, or it's so different that I cannot envision those predictions. Let's make sure there is not a closing statement we need to give for humanity. Let's make sure we stay in charge, in control. Let's make sure we only build things which are beneficial to us. Let's make sure people who are making those decisions are remotely qualified to do it. They are good not just at science, engineering, and business, but also have moral and ethical standards. And if you're doing something which impacts other people, you should ask their permission before you do that.
It's strange to even bother if there was even a 1% chance of human extinction. Someone told me there was a 1% chance that if I got in a car, I might not be alive. I would not get in the car. If you told me there was a 1% chance that if I drank whatever liquid is in this cup right now, I might die, I would not drink the liquid. Even if there was $1 billion, if I survived, the 1% is I die, I wouldn't drink it. I wouldn't take the chance.
It's worse than that. Not just you die, everyone dies. So this experiment can never be run ethically. By definition, they are doing unethical experimentation on human subjects. To get consent from human subjects, you need them to comprehend what they are consenting to. If those systems are unexplainable, unpredictable, how can they consent? They don't know what they are consenting to. So it's impossible to get consent by definition.
So that is Dr. Roman Yampolsky, 15 years inside AI safety, coined the term, wrote the textbook, and his conclusion is that the thing every lab on the planet is racing to build cannot be controlled. Not by them, not by him, not by anyone, and he is not alone. Geoffrey Hinton, the godfather of AI and Nobel laureate, says we are near the end. Brett Weinstein, the evolutionary biologist, says reconcile yourself to extinction. Yoshua Bengio, the most cited living scientist on Earth, signed the same warning. Thousands of researchers signed the same warning. They are not coordinating, they are not communicating, they are just all looking at the same data and arriving at the same conclusion. Roman gave you a single word for the entire situation. Impossible. Not difficult, Not expensive, not even hard. Impossible. The kind of impossible mathematicians use when they mean it. The kind of impossible where the answer is no, the answer was always no, and the people who tell you otherwise are selling something. $20 billion valuations, light cone ambitions, the right things to the right senators. Biometric tracking of every human on Earth in preparation for whatever comes next. Subscribe. Because by the time the rest of the world figures out what these men are saying, the experiment will have run, and they will have run it without your consent.